out about taking over the directorship of the Mariinsky. He turned it down and returned home to Germany, where the money he'd made on tour was soon swallowed up by his huge debts.
By 1864, Wagner's life had reached its lowest ebb. He was no longer a young firebrand in danger of being imprisoned for his revolutionary politics. He was a 50-year-old in danger of being imprisoned for his simply astonishing debt. He'd written Tristan, but that had been declared unproducible by most people who had seen it or tried to rehearse it. His relationship with Mathilde Wiesendonck was over, his marriage was over, it seemed his career was over, all that bright promise. And how could he possibly give the world these preposterously ambitious music dramas? If he were to write a wish list, I suppose he'd come up with one thing. He would need someone so powerful, so extraordinarily rich, that they could write off his debts, they could build him the theatre he wanted, they could guarantee him the posterity that he knew his genius merited. But that would be asking for a miracle. On March the 10th, 1864, a miracle happened. Quite unexpectedly, Maximilian II, King of Bavaria, died. He left his opulent kingdom to his son Ludwig, a handsome, eccentric 18-year-old. And one of Ludwig's first actions on acceding to the throne was to send for his hero, the artist he most adored in all the world, Richard Wagner.
Wagner was so used to fleeing the debt collector that it was some time before the king's messenger tracked him down to pass on the good news. Ludwig was offering to pay off all his debts and bankroll his future work. And if that wasn't proof enough of his passion, he went on to build what must surely be the world's most extravagant fan letter, Schloss Neuschwanstein. It wasn't completed until 1886, 3 years after Wagner's death, so he never had a chance to wander through these extraordinary spaces, all inspired by his work. But he had something even better. With the king's blank cheque to work with, his lifelong dream of artistic freedom must finally have seemed attainable.
What a patron to have.
It wasn't all plain sailing from here. It never was where Wagner was concerned. And it would take another 10 years before he completed the Ring Cycle. He also needed a theatre fit to stage it in. This was the bait that brought him to Bayreuth. Do you remember it? The Baroque Rococo extravagance that is the Margravia Opera House. A helpful friend had suggested it might suit his needs. Some friend. But Wagner liked the rest of Bayreuth, which was conveniently situated in the heart of his royal patron's Bavarian kingdom. So, if the perfect theatre didn't already exist here, why not build one instead?
These are the original plans for the Festspielhaus, yes, which are constructed by Otto Brückwald.
And someone's written here.
Yeah, that's very nice. You see,
Ornamenta Fort.
Yes.
Is that Wagner's hand?
Yes, this is original Wagner's hand. He got the plans from the architect, and you can see he had the idea to make some ornaments and
typical late 19th century kind of.
Yes,
yeah.
And Wagner wrote the Ornamenta Fort.
Yeah.
Away with the ornaments. Yes.
Some of the cash came from Ludwig, the rest from private donations and subscriptions, and the city of Bayreuth gifted him the green hill to build upon. But there was another grand design for Wagner to complete before the festival could happen. The final installment of his 4-opera Ring Cycle.
There it is, he just takes it and writes it across.
Yeah.
Quite simple.
To remind what he's writing in. And this is the very famous beginning of the prelude.
All these horns and the first violins, the second violins, and the...
It's written very clearly.
It's beautiful.
Very, very beautiful.
So clear. You can't make a single mistake here, can you? Wow.
You slightly could conduct from the score.
Yeah, I couldn't, but
Well,
someone with musical
me
talent
too.
could. It's a great moment for me. I'm sure some people will think preposterous to get so excited about bits of paper and black on lines, but I see and hear worlds come out of these pages. Dum dum. Dum dum. Whole worlds, great worlds that have influenced me and moved me and that no other art has.
And here, under the last notes, he writes,
finished achieved.
Ivan Fried, on 21st of November, I'll say no more.
With a little exclamation mark.
It was more than 20 years since Wagner, penniless and in exile, had first conceived of his masterwork. Now, at last, the mountain was scaled and the ring cycle completed. 4 monumental dramas which reached their climax with Götterdämmerung, the twilight of the gods. And finally, after 4 years of building, he had the theatre of his dreams in which to stage them.
Ha! Here we are, memorializing the first ever performance of the Ring Cycle in the year 1876. Wish I'd been there.
The list of attendees for that first night, aside from the Kaiser, emperors, kings, chancellors, prime ministers, includes Bruckner, Grieg, Tchaikovsky, Saint-Saëns, and Franz Liszt, the father-in-law. Karl Marx even booked a place, but there wasn't room for him in the hotel.
Here it is. My hand is on the door. I know you'll think I'm very overexcited, but if this is the temple, this is the Sancta Sanctorum, the Holy of Holies. This is the theatre itself. And I've waited all my life, really, to enter. I'm going to do it now.
Whatever you think of Wagner's music, no one can deny this is one of the most revolutionary theatres ever built. For I would suggest the most revolutionary music ever written. It's fabulous, isn't it? It's much more classical than I expected. I'm so excited. These are quite famous because they're not known for their comfort. The Ring Cycle is about 18 hours, well, it depends, 17 or 18 hours of solid seating. And most people bring a cushion, I believe. I must remember to do that when it's my turn. Everything about this theatre exists to serve the on-stage drama. Every seat has an uninterrupted view, and the acoustic is legendary. But there's one aspect of the design which really makes this auditorium truly unique. And if you don't immediately spot it, well, that's exactly the point. This is where the orchestra is. The audience can't see a single one of them. They're all hidden. It's a unique system, and the whole idea is that there's this balance, because the music is just one element of the whole drama. By hiding the orchestra, Wagner also ensured that no light would escape from here into the auditorium to distract the audience from the action on stage. It's incredible. Nowhere else like it in the world. Once the festival starts, this building becomes a restaurant for the theatre-goers, but until then, it serves as a rehearsal room. Today, they're working on Siegfried, the third opera of the Ring cycle. It's an opportunity for the soloists to go through their paces backed by a full-scale Wagnerian orchestra of around 120 musicians. Not a job for the faint-hearted. Here's the boss, well, one of them anyway, Eva Wagner, the composer's great-granddaughter. She's recently taken charge of Bayreuth alongside her sister, Katharina. It must feel like inheriting the throne of a grand and rather idiosyncratic kingdom.
So this is your first month here almost. Did you ever get a chance to relax and think yet?
Not really yet. I think that will be probably after the festival when I have my holiday.
This is June when the whole thing starts building to an enormous climax.
Exactly.
Do you think he would be surprised that Bayreuth is still going strong and that people still, it's now what, 7 years waiting list for a ticket?
Surprised.
Do you think, or would he expect that? No, he knew he was going to live forever.
Course.
Yeah, he did,
I'm
didn't
sure.
he?
Otherwise, why should he have built it here?
It's true.
You know.
It's still astonishing, isn't it, that you to have.
That is a very special thing about here,
Yeah.
about him.
And so you know also that means it's a bit like being an aristocrat. You know that you are borrowing, as it were, your time from your children. You know what I mean? That they, or I don't mean literally your children, but the next generation and the generation after that will do new things.
You create something in you, in your mind, which is perhaps not.
No, you don't feel that.
No, I don't feel.
You don't feel
No.
the idea of posterity, as we would say in England, the future. No, you
Not
just,
at the moment. I mean, I have.
that's probably
you know,
good. You get on with the present.
Okay.
That's really
Is
nice
that
talking to you.
okay?
It's a fantastic. No, I appreciate it. You are very.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
very busy. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Greatly appreciated.
Have a good stay still or not?
Yeah, we'll be here for the next 3 days. So.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Flesh on flesh, I touched a Wagner. That's pathetic of me, but it's rather wonderful.
Wie die Wunderschließer, die mit ihm du schlugest, in Trauer und Trümmer, stürze die drückende Pracht.
I'm thoroughly enjoying myself in Bayreuth. All I want to do now is immerse myself in the music I adore and count down the days to the opening of the festival. But there's another character who can't be kept out of the story any longer. Even though for someone like me with Jewish blood in their veins, it would be simpler and so much happier if he'd never been a part of it all. Hitler fell in love with Wagner's music when he was a young man with dreams of becoming an artist himself. By the time he first visited Bayreuth in 1923, he had traded painting for politics. He came to meet this man, British-born writer Houston Stewart Chamberlain, who was married to one of Wagner's daughters. Chamberlain was a racist who championed Aryan supremacy and vilified the Jews. He saw in Hitler a man of destiny who would finish the job Wagner had begun by forging a new and culturally pure Germany. Long before he became Chancellor, Hitler was embraced by some in Bayreuth with open arms.
It wasn't a question of welcoming Hitler because, in a sort of cowardly custard fashion, he was the great leader of Germany and they didn't dare offend him. Quite the opposite. They actually pushed him forward. They supported him from a very early age. 1923 was just a few years after the First World War when Hitler was a nobody. He was